So recently I watched Cordae's TED Talk in which he spent maybe about 12 to 13 minutes discussing what it means to have a high level mindset. Now, it's definitely a good watch, a good listen, if you're struggling to find confidence or get motivated to reach your goals. I would definitely advise you to take a listen. Very, very good stuff from that young man, which we know he's only 24 years of age, and he uses examples from his own life to kind of let you know how he got to where he is now. So as you guys see in the title, you see in the thumbnail, you know what this video is basically about, because within that TED Talk, there was a point where he mentioned that his sophomore album, From a Bird's Eye View, and the fact that it underperformed following The Lost Boy, which was a Grammy-nominated album and a really good album if I say so myself. He mentioned how that album not doing too well, From a Bird's Eye View that is. He mentioned how that album basically left him in a bit of a dark place. It didn't perform as well as he thought it would, and that's something that's typical in music. I don't even know if it's just exclusive to hip hop, but only the most elite of elite artists ever have a good sophomore album. It's a sophomore album curse, and he is definitely going through that. He was even ready to cancel his tour, but it's been kind of a discussion surrounding this young guy ever since, his album did come out, I'd say about 5 months ago, maybe even a little bit sooner than that. But why is Cordae not really catching on? What is he missing to reach that next level, to reach the status of artist that, arguably he raps better than? Now, when it comes to this, one thing has always remained true, and that's that it doesn't always matter how well you rap. We've seen it many, many times where someone can rap better than an artist that's a million times more successful, but it's all about how the people vibe with you, how the people connect to you, and there really wasn't much of a reason for people to buy into his story. Now, not that he has a bad story, I think he's got good stuff going on, but when it came to The Lost Boy, it was like, okay, he's dropping the YBN moniker, he's doing his own thing, this is the guy in the group that can really just rap his ass off, and that's what he did. People bought into that. But after that, it comes to that point where you hit this wall, and it's like you're trying to outdo your previous work, but you don't really know how to recapture that lightning in a bottle, because now it's like the big question is, how do I follow up? Now everybody's over the whole YBN storyline. Nobody cares, to be honest with you. Now, of course, the fans who have supported him are going to continue to support him, but it's breaking that additional threshold. So I remember watching his press run before From a Bird's Eye View came out, his interview on The Breakfast Club and everything, and I felt like listening to that interview, he was saying some really good stuff, but I feel like he was also just trying to emphasize, if I can speak, trying to emphasize how deep and intricate this album was. But it's up to your interpretation. But there's so much going on, there's so many double entendres, and basically, it's one of those things where if somebody has to tell you how intricate and how detailed something is, you're probably just not going to care to do the legwork yourself. Because at the end of the day, people just want to listen to something that they can vibe to. And what is it about you that's going to make people buy into your music? Because there's more than just I can fucking rap. So he started talking about, his brother that's in jail, friends passing away, all these things. But if I'm being perfectly honest, that's stuff that we've all heard before, So although I enjoyed his sophomore album, I wasn't surprised by the mixed feedback that it got. It all made perfect sense. So in addition to that, I'd also like to add that rappers who encroach on this whole lyrical moniker, the quote-unquote real rap moniker, they're already playing from a deficit, and I'll explain why. So I'd say back when I was a lot younger in the, I'd say maybe mid-2000s, I kind of went through a phase myself where I was highly critical of more mainstream rap that I felt was gimmicky or not really bar-centric and lyrical. And I labeled everything trash and started throwing around what is and isn't real rap. And thankfully, I did grow out of it. I know I've come to accept a lot of things for what they are, and as long as I can vibe with it, I'm good. The rappers I listen to today, I probably wouldn't have even gotten anywhere close to back then. But I say that to say that that discussion, that's something that's never gonna die. There are still hip hop purists, hip hop elitists who basically just shit on anything that comes out, anything that's played on the radio, anything that's real popular, any songs that don't have immense depth to them. But in doing that over the years, because we're talking decades now, of every new artist coming up having to hear that their shit sucks if they're not really like lyrical, spherical, miracle type shit, So there began this counter culture to lyrical rap. And so they started saying, hey, fuck that real rap shit you're talking about, that shit's boring. And there have only been a few rappers who have ever really been able to cut into the mainstream with that type of music, where they're still accepted at a very high level, I guess you would say. But everybody else is pretty much either labeled corny off top, and or they are actually fucking corny. So if that's the type of music that you're on, if that's the type of music that you're creating, you're playing the game from a deficit, because you have to prove to people that you are more than just a carbon copy of J. Cole. Like, they call this nigga J. Cole with a lisp, So it's definitely something that you have to fight your way out of. Like, what's gonna make you stand out on your own? Because to me, he doesn't sound anything like J. Cole, but that's just kind of the box that he's been put in. Or even worse, he's kind of put in a box with guys that I definitely don't agree that he should be in the box with, like Logic and shit like that. Like, their music is nothing alike to me, but that's how the mainstream populace will label you if you are basically trying to make this immensely deep music and put it out there as though this is the fucking Mona Lisa of music. But with that said, I don't think that that's it for Cordae. I think that he's kind of being misjudged unfairly, and I think that he can still kind of bridge the gap between generations. Being a young kid who is a student of the game, what comes next though? What's beyond that? We understand that you grew up with Nas and all that shit, and that's cool, but I think that he deserves to be in a different lane, because he's nothing like Logic, he's nothing like Hopsin. I don't see him in the box with those guys, and I kind of think he's unfairly placed there. But what does he need to do to break out from that? So around the time when From a Bird's Eye View came out, I left a comment on Sean Z's video talking about the problem with Cordae, and I was basically just saying I feel like he would really benefit from having a tape or two with Hit Boy. One of the problems that a lot of the more lyrical rappers tend to get into is very, very shoddy beat selection. It's not always music that you just want to ride to, and sometimes after a long day, people do just want to turn their brains off. They want to vibe with something. If you have good bars on top of that, that's always cool, but ultimately, we want to be able to rock out to the beats, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like a couple tapes with Hit Boy would probably do him well to just turn his brain off and just rap your ass off, man. Like, just go crazy on the beat for a while, get out of album mode, and give people something that lets them see or remember who you were when the world was introduced to you. I think that would definitely do him a lot of justice, because sometimes when music gets a little bit too preachy and you're telling us about all these deep and mystical meanings and shit, even if you're not intending on being pompous about it, sometimes it comes off as that I'm the smartest person in the room type shit. And it is a little bit of a turnoff to a widespread audience, I'll admit. I will never get on anybody for doing them. Like, if that's just genuinely how he gets down, then it is what it is. But if we're talking about what he needs to do to get more people invested in him as a rapper, you gotta change something. Get back on the mixtape scene, and I promise you he's gonna start doing a little bit better when it comes to just kind of getting play, getting attention, getting more people to care about when a Cordae track drops. You get what I'm saying? I feel like that'll do wonders for him. An additional point that I've seen people make about him is his, I guess, lack of a social media persona. I don't really think I agree with that. I mean, he's got 2.3 million followers on Instagram. I don't know what he does on TikTok, but I can't blame somebody for not resorting to the cringy actions of their contemporaries. You know, it's probably not in his wheelhouse to buy or flex $100,000 chains and shit like that. You know, that's not everybody's thing. So I'm not mad at him for what he does. But I will say that as long as I've been following him, I haven't really seen anything that was like viral, I guess. And I suppose that is an element of the modern day young artist, you know, using the internet to go crazy. I mean, he has gone viral before with his response to 1985. Again, his clip from TED Talk, I think, was somewhat viral, but mainly for him making a reference to Dave Chappelle, Ja Rule, you know. I know that it's probably not his thing to act super concerned with politics or any of this other shit that people do, but maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't really see his posts too often, but that also is a part of the game. You know, it is something that you have to do in some capacity, and you know, even if it may not be his thing to be a big mouthpiece on social media, he's still on the proving ground. Whereas some artists they've reached their full potential and they can just chill. They can post once a year and their fan base is gonna go crazy. That post is gonna get 1 million likes off top. He's not there yet, so he probably should find more ways to utilize his platform, you know, just to kind of get more people to pay attention to him, I guess. But I don't know how that'll work given his personality, because that's also, you know, it's a big factor in it. Everybody doesn't always want to be seen, so I don't know. I don't really know how I would approach social media if I were him, but something's got to give. You know, it could possibly benefit him if he found a way to get people to actually give a shit about his posts a little bit more. But, you know, he does about 200K likes, I think, for his posts, so I guess that's not terrible. But anyway, I'm rambling at this point. You know, this whole thing is unscripted, just speaking my thoughts. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you're a fan of this guy, if you've never taken a moment to listen to his music, or if you have, and what you would recommend for him to do in order to probably do a little bit better with his next drop. You know what I mean? So with that said, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Twitter. Your boy is trying to do numbers, so I'm actually promoting that now. And with that said, I'll catch y'all in the next one.